have that staying power compared to a Cho.
Okay. So it gives you more reason to quote unquote overextend, especially
Yes.
if there's no downsides to it. While in the meantime, Cho, if you go in, you die, then you're like, what are you doing? Roma, what you doing?
And now we are straight into draft here. Onic Philippines will be the first pick. YB in-game will be the second pick. Looking at YB in-game, they already banned out the Fanny as well as the Lu Yi, making sure that Super Prince doesn't have that mobility for his team. And Onic Philippines, again, banning out the Matilda, the Freya, and now even the Harif. And YB in-game, respecting Kelra with that Granger. Yeah, I'm looking at Kalia as well.
There's still no Kalia. Maybe for YBINGAME, they don't really quite see the threat or the potential of Kalia at this moment in time. So it really just brings down to the point that Onic PH, they need to be there to show YBINGAME. This is what Kalia is capable of. And the question is, do they draft around Kalia based on what she's able to bring onto the board, though?
And burn this wretched world.
The only way for you to really face against Kalia is bring heroes that has a Purify. That's one of the best ways. YB in-game picking up that Moskov, and now they're picking up a Suyo. Onic Philippines can now take up that Joy, and then +1, whatever they want, because like the previous game, they can pick up the Phoveus again. So Phoveus Joy is a possibility here for Onic Philippines.
Yeah, so what I'm thinking out for, at least when it comes down to the B1 pick being out the Kalia, responding to a marksman and a jungle pick for YBINGAME, I thought that this is actually a very interesting choice, because those two are the heroes that you would want to draft around in order to get yourself the win condition. So if you bring those two out this early, wouldn't that mean that Onic PH have the opportunity to get a perfect draft to make sure that these two, Moskov and Suyo, has got no game?
By Lantern's light.
And now looks like Onic Philippines will opt for a Jushin, which he has been adjusted, and in a way, Abstract, it's kind of a buff. Kind of.
Jushin buff.
Let me explain.
Yes, please.
So Jushin, the nerf is that during the laning phase, she can only pick you up once. She no longer has the mana to pick you up multiple times in lane. So that itself is a nerf. But once you have enough items, the mana really isn't an issue. And what Munton compensated for the increased mana is more damage. So,
the only one.
you know, just wait long enough for you to get your items, and then it's basically a buff for Jushin.
Right.
But in the early game, sure, not enough burst damage.
Yeah, I mean, the damage that we're looking out for is a phenomenal 30 damage at the very first level, right? So it's base damage, it's not the incremental percentage of magic power. So we are almost immediately able to see the effects of what that pickup is gonna do, right? The Lantern Flare. So I do want to kind of see how that's gonna work out, and especially since Onic PH in the previous game, they emphasized quite a bit on lane priority in the middle lane. And YBINGAME haven't really quite shown that just yet. In fact, they picked up the jungle, EXP, and the gold lane. But the middle lane and the Roma, which is very important to wave clear in the middle lane, has not been shown.
I like that Onic PH banned out the Sicilian, because you were talking about lane blue. Especially on this Jushin, YB in-game needs range. And not a lot of mid lane, like, sure, there are options in mid lane, but when it comes to the roamers, not a lot of long range roamers. So I'm worried that Ares is going to get heavily punished in this game.
So there are at least, I mean, there's two ways that YBINGAME can draft for themselves. Do they want to focus a lot about what Onic PH has shown on their hands, or do they want to play around their lineup? I would like to assume that they want to focus on getting the Moskov and the Suyo, so because that is their comfort. So anything after that is based on what Onic PH has picked out. So based on all these picks, such as the Joy, the Kalia, as well as the Jushin, I would still want to believe that they want to prioritize in middle lane. Vexana is still a very good pickup, especially since they don't have any crowd control. So having that Terrify plus the knockup from the Eternal Guard, it can always be a great pick for themselves, and then the Roma comes later.
Abstract, I'm not trolling, but for the roamer pick, it might be not a bad idea to pick up something like a Florin. where
Florin.
Yeah, yeah. Like her second skill makes you feel like you're a Selena. The range is very long, so you can deal with the Jushin. And then if Kalia is able to catch anyone, you can heal them back up. And once you have the Flash of the Oasis, you will get a big chunk of shield as well as heal, so you can survive any kind of onslaught. But looks like they're gonna pick up the Cho here, which is actually pretty good going up against Jushin, especially if you pick up Thrill.
Okay. So when it comes down to wave clear, we've got that from the Cho. So they'll leave the mid lane for later on. But in the meantime, Onic PH will then look out for a Hilda and a Beatrix. Oh. Hilda, huh?
Yeah. Again, they just want to win the lane. Look at all the lane bullies here.
Yeah.
I would say Hilda and Phoveus is just
it's a definite
what
answer.
do you call it? Wet noodles. It's just like
wet noodle fight. I wouldn't
wet
call
noodle
this.
fight. Like nothing really happens.
I would say that the Hilda would definitely be able to push the Phoveus away, but I definitely don't think that the Phoveus will go down that easily per se. Oh, but faster.
Yeah, but again, it's more or less the same idea. I feel like it's easy for you to freeze a lane with a Hilda as well, because even if they have a good trade against you, you can just heal back, and then you can just chunk him down very, very slowly. And now this is going to be very interesting. We're going to see how Kara has adjusted to the change of Beatrix, where essentially the bomb got nerfed, but everything else got buffed.
Now we've got
maybe except for the Renner.
Maybe except for the Renner. Oh wait, really? Okay, let me think.
I have to check as well, because I'm not a gold laner. I haven't played her for a while.
Yeah, there's only the nerfs and the changes on Bennett, Nibiru, as well as Wesker. Renner is completely untouched. And in fact, there's a buff on Wesker as well. So it's just mostly the cooldown. 12 seconds cooldown reduction on Wesker right at the start of the game.
Yeah, because I feel like Munton's note was that her bombs cleared the lane a little bit too fast for their liking, so they only really nerfed that one. So now I'm looking at Ares. I want to see how he's able to harass either Super Prince or Brusco here. We don't see the emblem, so he can either go for Furnace or Thrill.
So right off the start, I think that what YBINGAME will want to do is to completely do the opposite of what they have done in the previous game. Clear away fast. But we're talking about a Juicin plus a Kalia. As you can see, it's not that easy. But at least for Onic PH, they are immediately making their way and forking right out to see what are the kinds of information that we have. They know that the studio started up to the top lane. They know also that Unicorn and Ares is not making their way to anywhere else at the top lane and the mid-bottom lane. So at least they still have got some time and chance to breathe.
Yeah, Ares definitely have the Thrill here. As well as Pull Yourself Together. Ares as well as Brusco both using Pull Yourself Together. So with more assists that they have, the more access to Flicker that they have. And for me, I feel like going up against a Kalia lane, hold on, Kalia's going to get attacked here. Well, it looks like Brusco is going to be fine.
Yeah, still gonna be fine now. At least she's got healing. Let's remember that. So she's gonna be really sticky in the middle.
Yeah, the thing, Abstract, they should have gone heavy on level 1, but now Fish God taking quite a bit of damage against King Kong and Kirk. And now just going back to my point, if you're going up against a Kalia, level 1 is when you want to go aggressive, because level 1, Kalia does not have a heal. Kalia needs level 2 to get a heal. So once she gets level 2, it's like you miss your window.
Yeah, so I think that for YBINGAME, they are too afraid to kind of like go in because they're not too sure about the potential of Kalia as well as the level 2 power spike that Kalia potentially have and the effects that it would do onto the Juicin in the mid lane. But regardless, YBINGAME, they have been very cautious in their gaming and in their laning phase, and I wouldn't fault them for that. They will always want to look for other opportunities, such as in the top lane, as that's a pretty good start. No, Kara! No way! Hey! No! What was that? Oh, Kara! A little bit of a dance, Michael Jackson move going on about, making sure that she did not go down. But in the meantime, King Kong draws first blood down over to Fish God, and Unicorn being the next one taken down. And Brusco even takes one onto Lucas. That was unimaginably chaotic for YBINGAME.
That's one of those plays where you take off your headset and be like, guys, I'm done.
Yeah,
like,
I would.
That was a perfect gank. And now they're just continuing.
Oh man, this is the power of the snowball that Onic PH is able to get for themselves. But right now, they are pushing all the way in on the YBINGAME. They are hoping that they will be able to do a little bit more. And now Fishgod is not a lot, he doesn't have a lot of HP left. But the only thing he can go is full on committal. And for that fact, he sacrificed himself to bring Brusco down. Not exactly a great trade, but at least it's still something.
The fact that Kelra avoided by staying still, that hurts.
That hurts.
The worst thing is, that was a good gang. He literally did not move, and you didn't hit him.
This is...
He's playing mind tricks. He's playing mind tricks on you.
This would not work against Pops, dude. But that is a great flick of plants away on the dragon coming in from Ares, but not quite enough to bring Super Prince down at all, though, because of the massive amount of HP that the Super Prince have got from the Pops. As such, Kirk takes a double kill right down on the YBINGAME, and they started 4 minutes into the game. They are already looking at a 3,000 goal lead.
This also highlights the amount of heal that Brusco can give to his team, and Super Prince, he can heal himself with his emblem setup. And again, it's like YBINGAME being down almost 4,000 gold at 4 minutes, losing almost 1,000 gold per minute. This is gonna be rough. They need damage, and Unicorn dying twice. I'm not so sure if Unicorn can give enough damage.
Yeah, I mean, oh, Grant, it's kind of hard for YBINGAME to even try to contest for this turtle. I mean, despite the fact that Lucas is currently at level 6, King Kong at level 8, that 2-level disparity is a little bit too hard for you to work with, but still YBINGAME still wants to go for that as a Tsunami Slam connects as well as a Lantern Flare. As such, that is going to be the front line that is taken down. There is no way for YBINGAME to try to go for any form of pickup. They gotta fall back and give and concede the turtle over to Onic PH, but that's not all just yet, as Onic PH sees the opportunity to catch a random unicorn skipping and hopping somewhere else that is not defended.
YBINGAME right now almost down by 5,000. Bilexi is trying to get as much farm as he can. Brusco is just waiting. Again, that tidal wave can engage from a very long distance, and looks like he's going straight forward for Ares.
Not again, as Ares takes another L for himself, while King Kong puts up quite a bit of damage all the way out the top lane, but there we go. Gold lane. Hit for a tad. Both of the gold lane is going down. That was great for YBINGAME.
Oh yeah, if I'm Bilexi, I'll take that all day. You know, it's like, I died, sure, but I took down Kara with me, guys. Like,
yeah.
We won.
We've got an advantage here. We got a bit.
Exactly.
But it's still 5,500 gold lead though. But definitely, it just shows that YBINGAME still have got their name in the game. Still sticking to the status quo. It is tough though. It is really tough. As Ares now no longer have got that capabilities and the tankiness to really just jump over to the backline. At this point, I would confidently say that anyone that Ares pick out, just go for it. They might not have enough damage, but at least when it comes down to Unicorn, it's a great bruiser, so we'll see how that eventually plays out, as we immediately will be able to see the Tsunami Slam working it out, but not quite enough to bring anyone down just yet, while Unicorn all the way at the backside do have got that feathered airstrike to hope that it will be able to split the fight altogether. Not quite enough, as Fishgod will take the L for that one once again, while Kirk just proxies in between, pushes the rest of YBINGAME away. King Kong does the same in the middle.
And looks like Unicorn is gonna get taken down by King Kong. And actually, let me put this on the record. Brusco's mechanic on this Kalia. Before that, Bilexi is just trying to survive. As I was saying, Brusco used the tidal wave to cancel out the Wave of Dragon twice. One at the turtle pit and one at the top side of the turret. Like, he canceled out an ultimate with a second skill twice.
Huh? Okay, I did not see that at all. Ouch! Wait, I kind of forgotten just how much damage that a Hilda can very potentially make out, but I do need to really keep my eyes onto Ares now. But the tidal wave once again, this is just outshowing the show at this point in time. Brusco is insane when it comes down to taking all these Tsunami Slams in.
Just see about the Hilda killing the Moskov. Moskov is level 8. Hilda is level 10.
Oh crap!
And she's 6-0-2. 6-0-2. Like, you know, just saying, you know, he does not have enough damage here. And now Kara having the Malefic gun, added range. I would say this is, if it wasn't checkmate before, it's definitely checkmate now.
It's checkmate
10,000
now.
gold difference in 7 minutes.
Yeah. The 2-1 prediction is definitely some copium right now, the way that I see it. I was really hoping that YBINGAME would be able to change the way that they play a little bit more. I do like the change in the drafting though, having more priorities in the middle lane. But it's more of the adaptability that they are not willing to go head-to-head against Super Prince as well as Brusco, especially since Brusco and Super Prince outright disrespected them by going past the river and say, come on, hit me.
Philippines sending 3 members. Aries tried to catch someone, but again, look at that.
Huh?
Look at that. He could not use his ult.
Wait, was that the tidal wave? Oh!
Tidal wave into a tsunami slam.
Oh man! Yeah,
yeah. Again, Aries was invisible. He was using the conceal. Tidal wave into a concealed choke. And then you know, Tsunami Slam ends it.
That's Masterclass, Roma Masterclass. As we were talking about Roma Masterclass, Aries immediately turned right back as he managed to get a really nice kick down on the Brusco and finally taken down one of the main core person from the side of Onic PH. With the lack of the frontliners, Onic PH may have a tad bit of difficulty trying to tackle down on all of these inhibitor turrets, but still, they still have the firepower to back it all up. So YBINGAME, they still gotta have to keep their toes up and they gotta have to be real careful. Painful.
Oh yeah, painful. And let me just say, Brusco is really feeling like this is gonna be is a log game. He just completed his fleeting time just to get more tidal waves. Let me just say the tidal wave doesn't have that big of a cooldown. It's like 30-something seconds. It's long-ish. It's not that long, but
it's
now
not
having
long at all.
Yeah, like when you can use Kalia in Rome and it works, and then use Kalia in EXP and it works, and then you see some guy using Kalia in jungle and it works.
For real.
Like, at that point, you know she's pretty strong. And I actually feel she's better as an EXP. I'm just saying.
I do want to try that out now.
No, essentially what you do is you keep controlling them and then you heal up. And then they just don't know what to do with your heal.
I do want to know
As
how the
roamer,
matchup is like against Hilda though. I do want to know how the matchup would be like though against like Hilda, because you got a lot of healing in your own brushes as well.
For me, I just use my Tsunami Slam to bring her into the turret, and then I use my tidal wave.
I'm gonna try it out the next time. You know what? I'm gonna play EXP Kalia later on during my break. Since
It's
I think,
good, trust me.
okay, I'll let you know how that's gonna work out. But speaking of working out, it is going to be Brusco going straight in for the suplexes, right down on the fish guard, brings him completely out of position while the Lord tramples and pillages down to the bottom lane. King Kong made some exceptions down in the top lane and built up quite a bit of a rally lead all the way up top, while the Lord is just putting up quite a bit of fight all the way down to the bottom, pushing the rest of YBINGAME away. The garrison's pretty strong from the side of Onic PH, but in the meantime, the creeps are just marching in to the top lane, bring all of the interior turrets down. YBINGAME though, we do have the Cho that's back, but that is an ultimate from the side of Super Prince to make sure that he's out of the range from Aries. As such, the way the dragon did not work out well for him at all. 4-man down, make that 5-man down, but before the 5-man goes down, the core goes cracking all the way down, and that is going to be 2 games in a row for Onic PH.
Abstract, let me ask you, in 11 minutes, if the opponent has 6,000 gold above you, do you feel like that's a hard game to win against?
I would, in rank, yeah, I would say that, yeah, I don't have the mental capability.
6,000 is a lot. Imagine
Yes.
16,000.
Wait,
In
that was
11, almost 12 minutes, Onic Philippines got the lead of 16,000.
that was game 2.
Dude, I've seen in my career. I might have seen bigger, but I think I can't remember. 16,000 is insane.
I think that it's more than enough of a testament of what Onic PH stands for. Oh, 16,000 gold advantage.